No, I didn't plan it, and I don't plan. I have an opening. I usually have an opening scene, which is sort of like the pre-title scene in a film. Just a little scene, 3 or 4 pages long, at the end of which the reader will hopefully be going, who? What? Why? As I am, because I don't know the answers. But hopefully they'll be intrigued enough to want to read on. I maybe have a couple of bullet points that I want to hit, like he's maybe going to die about a third of the way through, or whatever. I've heard it compared to driving through fog at night. So I know roughly where I'm going, but I can only see as far as the end of my headlights. So I don't really know how I'm going to get there. And I'll go up a lot of wrong turnings and blind alleys and so on. If you ask 100 writers, you'll get 100 different answers. Some writers plan to the nth degree. You know, scene by scene breakdowns, huge whiteboards filled with, but you tend to write whatever worked for that first book is the way I've always done it. And you have these superstitions about, I'm always going to do it that way, I'll always go and buy the same notebook and all that strange superstitious nonsense. As far as advice for crime writers, write the kind of book you'd like to read. I mean, really, I think that's all you can ever do. Never look for a gap in the market. Never look at the crime section in the library here or in a bookshop and go, oh, I know what's missing. A 17th century vet who solves crime with the help of his dog, and you're on hiding to nothing. Just write what you'd like to read, and get lucky. That's the simple truth of it. Writing is no different to music or acting or anything else. You need a phenomenal amount of luck. And I had the luck of 20 writers. It's all about your manuscript landing on the desk of the right agent at the right time, and then that manuscript landing on the desk of the right editor at the right time, just when they're going, oh, I need a new British male crime writer. You need a tremendous amount of luck. I know plenty of writers who can write me under the table who haven't had an ounce of luck. So it's, No, I wouldn't. I think writers need publishers. Publishers are there for a very, very good reason. The book is worked on and honed and edited and marketed and all that kind of stuff. I want to write. I don't want to be designing my own book jackets and doing all my marketing online and all that kind of stuff. And I also think there's so much terrible rubbish out there online. There's a reason this stuff costs 49p, And the problem with it is, I'm going into a rant now, but the problem with it is, readers start seeing stuff that costs 49p, and what it essentially does is devalues what a book is. A book that has taken somebody a year, 2 years, 3 years to write, that is going to provide a reader, hopefully, with days and days of entertainment. And people are complaining about the fact that they might have to pay £6.99 for it. When they'll think nothing of walking into a bookshop and spending £2.50 on a greetings card and £3 on a cup of coffee. And then they go, how much is this book? And I think we're sort of losing the idea of what a book is. And when people are selling books for 20p, I think the world's gone mad. I had the same editor for, I think, 6 books, and then she retired, and now I've had a new editor who's done every book since then. I write for my editor. I write for kind of one person, because I'm trying to fool them, I'm trying to please them. There isn't a writer on the planet who does not need editing. Any writer who goes, there's my deathless prose, don't you touch it, and public is a fool. Because you're far too close to it. You can't see the wood for the trees. Especially when you're talking about 120,000 words or 60 chapters or whatever it might be. You have no sense of the shape of it. You might have a little nagging voice in the back of your head that goes, I'm worried that those 3 chapters in the middle are going nowhere. And I'm worried that I haven't really done enough with that character. Somebody else needs to tell you that. When they tell you that, you go, oh, thank God, I was worried about that. And I do what I'm told. I'm a good boy, because my editor is hugely experienced and knows more about it than I do. And they're a reader like anybody else. It's not just my editor, it's my agent, my wife, all sorts of people. But somebody has to tell you what's wrong with it. And it's exactly that. Adding stuff, moving chapters around, completely cutting a character and making 3 characters into 2 characters and all that stuff. But it needs to be done. It absolutely needs to be done. When you see writers whose books get fatter and fatter and fatter, why do you think those Harry Potter books got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? Simply because she's J.K. Rowling and nobody was going to tell her what to cut. And I'm sure she would have welcomed it, but they all, oh, it's perfectly great, Joe. As you like, the book's got bigger and bigger and bigger. Not necessarily better and better and better, but just bigger and bigger and bigger, because she was too famous to edit. It's my theory, anyway. Oh, I type.
You type.
Badly. Two-finger typing. Yes, I mean, I do some writing on that. I have a notebook. Each book has a notebook, the same kind of notebook, Ryman's, and it's full of sketched out ideas and snippets of dialogue and little, you know, kill him in chapter 12 and that kind of stuff. But no, it's all sitting down and typing. My thoughts can keep up because I type so slowly. If I could touch type and type really quickly, that probably wouldn't be the case. Some writers, and I know like Will Self is one of them, refuses to use word processing in any way, shape or form, because he says in some way it kind of inhibits or limits the way you think, and it inhibits the creativity of the writer. The fact that you can chop and change and move text around, he doesn't like that, and he just writes longhand. And I do kind of get that, but no, I'm a computer person. No, it's lunch. Very bizarre question. He's got a satchel. I've got a satchel. You know, my iPad, my headphones, a book, a scarf, and other personal items. The notes for his case, I don't know. Oh yes.
It's not a crime novel, is it?
It's not a crime novel.
Have you read it?
Sorry?
Have you read it?
I certainly have read it. Yes, I was asked to recommend the next book for the book group, and I've chosen a book called The Book of Lost Things, which is by an Irish writer called John Connolly, who is a crime writer, a wonderful, wonderful crime writer. But this is not a crime novel. This is a book about childhood, about books. It's about a child who's having an extremely miserable childhood who disappears into books. It's fantasy, it's fairy tale. It's the last book that made me cry. It's absolutely, everybody should have a book that, when they force it on somebody, they give it to somebody. If the person they've given it to doesn't like that book, I don't want to be friends with them. You know, it's one of those books. I judge somebody by whether they like this book or not. Extraordinary book.